don't always accept every single one of, because some of them are like, "Hi, I see we have a few mutual connections. Let's
Yeah.
connect." Okay, all right. Maybe not, unless there's some in, intrinsic reason for me to actually connect. I don't see the point, because we have a few mutual connections. Everybody has a few mutual connections, right? So that doesn't really help you to stand out. Um, and then sometimes there's no message that comes with the connection invite at all, and I'll still accept. So I'd like to say, or I'd like to propose that, like, sending a connection note doesn't work unless you do one or two things. And I think that the main thing is actually personalize it. Meaning, don't send a generic connection note that you copy and pasted from ChatGPT. Actually personalize it. What is it about me that inspires you to connect with me? Was it that you saw one of my posts, a video with me and Colin, or did you see maybe a video of me on maybe like the radio station, podcast, other podcasting that I'm doing, or do you just think it's cool that I live in Jamaica and I'm doing lead generation, globally? Right? Like, kind of lead with actual personalization instead of just saying, "Hi, let's connect." I just think that's enough. You know? What
Yeah.
about you, Colin?
So have you ever heard of the book Spin Selling?
Spin selling? No, tell me about it.
So Spin Selling is a great, I think Spin Selling is a great book that teaches the art of sales from like a very mechanical perspective. It's like research based that did a lot of like a massive study on like what makes good salespeople good, like what makes conversion based sales, like how do you do it, and they break it down. But the framework that I would say is it's all about the art of the progression. So intuitively, good salespeople understand that you have to progress people towards a process. You can't pitch right away, right? That's intuitive to certain people who are a little bit more relationship focused, right? So, you're right. It's about personalizing it. But, going a step deeper, like how do you personalize? What are the stages? What spin selling breaks down is what are those stages? And the acronym is SPIN. So it's problem,
Situation, problem,
situation, problem, implication, needs payoff. So let's go
needs
through all
payoff.
those. Needs payoff. So
Situation.
let's go through those
Okay.
really quickly. Situation. You have to understand what someone says. You have to meet them where they're at. So the first thing to do is you got to get to know people. You got to, personalize. You got to get them talking. You got to get them engaged. Like you can't just immediately start pitching. You got to understand their situation. So you have to meet somebody where they're at and get them talking. That's the situation. Now, once you've identified the situation, you got somebody talking, you can move to the next stage, which is problem. You have to identify a problem. If there's no problem, then what are you doing selling? That's what good salespeople do. They're not trying to sell people unless there's a problem. So you have to meet somebody where they're at and identify what the problem is. And there's an art to how you go about maybe asking certain questions to identify someone's situation and understand if there's a problem. Once you've identified a situation and a problem, the next stage is an implication. You have to help the prospect understand what the implication is of not solving the problem. So if
Hmm.
somebody has a problem where they don't have leads and you've kind of identified them, you've identified, help them understand that they have a problem. What's the implication of that? Well, if they don't fix their lead problem, they're not going to make money. That's the implication. The implication is, no leads, no money, no leads, no traction. So you have to kind of work through by helping people understand what the implication is associated with not solving the problem. And only after you've gone through those stages can you do like needs payoff, right? So it's like trying to understand what, like quantifying, like what the solution would be. You got to think through, okay, you understand that the implication is you're not going to get revenue. Well, what's the level of urgency of you needing revenue, right? What if somebody said, no, I have a massive business. I'm like, I don't really care. right? There's no needs payoff. They don't need this done right away. So you want to be able to kind of be able to naturally progress people into understanding the needs payoff, to understand like how to build a lasting relationship with somebody, to meet them where they're at, help them identify problems, and then flow them into a solution. And so those trajectories, what the spin selling talks about, is all good salespeople are doing that naturally, whether or not
Mm.
they're aware consciously of them breaking it down that way. Some people it's just intuitive because they're relationship based. I want to get to know somebody. I want to help them solve problems. I want them to like get excited about solving the problem. And then I want to position my offer as the solution. And like, let's get excited about closing the deal. Some people are just naturally pretty good at that. But for people who are not good at it, I recommend the book, because the book is helping you understand how to do diagnostics and how to progress people towards each stage. So how do you apply that to LinkedIn? Well, it starts with a connection request, right? It's understanding the micro conversion of where you're at. Your micro conversion is not pitching your offer, which is more of like a needs payoff later stage of the funnel. The micro conversion is getting engagement, meeting somebody where they're at. You need to get them to, you need to diagnose their situation. You need to literally just open a conversation. So the micro conversion out of connection request is get an acceptance. So how do you get an acceptance? Well, I agree with you. Personalize it. State clearly why you're connecting with them. Don't make it seem broad and general. Personalize it. What I like to say is I'm trying to network with these types of people that, you know, are using the language of what they're using on their profile, whether or not that's employee benefit consultants in this particular space. I came across your profile. It looks like you have a great background, or like an impressive background, and I would love to connect with you. That's it. I have a high connection acceptance rate from a message like that. That's
Yeah. Yeah, even that's better than, oh, I see we have a few mutual connections. Let us kind of, right. That makes sense because you're identifying what the common ground is, right?
yeah,
I'm a benefits person, and you're somebody that helps benefits people, right?
yeah,
So that's commonality right there, and it's just so tough to relate to people when there's nothing to relate to. So find something to relate to or relate with, right? That's going to be the foundation of your conversation, of your relationship going
yeah.
forward. But I like the sound of that book though.
Yeah, that's the
You know, spin
situation
selling.
part of it. You have to build a
Yeah.
relationship with somebody. You have to meet them where they're at. And not like immediately go into the, are you having this problem? Because that's what a lot of people do on LinkedIn too. They
Mm.
jump to the problem without building the
Oh,
situation.
which is stage two. That's stage
Yeah.
two, right?
So you see why that's a throw off, because they
Mhm.
immediately will pitch not their offer, but start promoting the problem. And it's like, dude, you haven't even buttered me up yet. You haven't even like said hello. You know, it's not like psychologically you're being rude, because it's like, are you experiencing all of this like problems with lead generation? And it's like, who are
It's
you?
like a TV ad.
That's what it is. Right. That's what they're doing. And so, you know, that's not, I mean, a TV ad is a different medium. So it's like you only get 30 seconds. So maybe you do want to, it's like a different medium. But when you're talking about like direct sales and trying to build relationships with customers, you can't jump to stage two, which is identifying problems, until you've met somebody where they're at, because then you're personalizing the problem to their business.